My name is Jennifer Cardinal. I'm a Union alum from the class of 2005. As a chemistry student, I worked with Dr. Hagerman from my first days as a freshman when he was my academic advisor. I was in many of the classes he taught and then proceeded to study in his research lab. Our research group not only presented our work on campus at the Steinmetz Symposium and the Research Summer Series, we also presented at the ACS National Conference, and we were the only undergraduates invited to present at the 2004 Semiconductor Research Corporation's Graduate Fellowship Conference in San Francisco. Also, our research was later published in Langmuir. The experiences Professor Hagerman afforded us were invaluable to our growth as researchers. After graduation, Professor Hagerman connected me with Oxford University Press to help edit the 5th edition of Shriver and Atkins' Inorganic Chemistry textbook. He took note of and encouraged my aptitude for scientific writing. He was a great professor and advisor, and I have many fond memories of my time at Union because of him. His mentorship took many forms, from providing unique academic opportunities to challenging my analytical thinking, all of which helped me to grow as a student and a person. He was supportive, professionally and personally, and wanted the best for all of his students. Michael Hagerman will be greatly missed, and the impact he has made on myself and other Union students will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Tyson. I'm a 2016 graduate of Union College. I currently work at the Wadsworth Center at the New York State Department of Health as a senior lab technician. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about my experiences with Mike Hagerman and how he helped me get to where I am right now. So my first interactions with him were actually before I even came to Union College. He and my dad were actually friends through the ACS, and when it came time for me to start thinking about where to go to college, he actually ended up giving me a private tour of the school and the chemistry department, and that ultimately was what made me decide to go to Union College. When I got there, I immediately understood that why he had such a good reputation. His attitude, his charisma, his excitement with science is really what drove a lot of people to him, and made a lot of people respect him and want to do research with him. I was really amazed that in his nano class, there were so many non chemistry majors, even non-science majors in that class that really wanted to learn more about nanoscience, which was really amazing. And after my second year there, I decided to start doing research with him, and that was really what helped lay a really good foundation for my career and going into graduate school and subsequently into the working world. When you start in a lab doing research, is really different than doing lab as in a lab course like organic or analytical or even Gen Chem, because those lab courses are really structured. They have the professor looking after you. You know what you're supposed to be doing. And research is really different. You're kind of left on your own and to figure out things on your own. And that the lab experience really helped me grow as a chemist. Even though right now I don't really do anything totally related to nano, I do a lot of ICP-MS work and a lot of solution prep. The lab experience I gained was really impactful. It really helped me get good at everything in the chem lab, solution prep, running reactions, everything like that really helped me grow. So I'll be eternally grateful to him for everything he allowed me to do there. And I guess I'll turn it over to some kind of fond memories of him. Uh, like I said before, he and my dad were really close, so um, we'd sometimes go to the beer abbey after my dad was done working. The three of us would meet there, grab a drink, and talk about life, everything, relationships, anything that was going on in the world. I particularly found it amusing when he, Mike was so into sports like football and soccer. He would talk at length about them all the time. It was really interesting to see how like he could rattle off any player on like the Dallas Cowboys and like what position they played, what they did in the last game, and uh, you could always it was always amusing to see his mood would change sometimes if the Cowboys did well. He was always in a good mood when they won, and you could tell he was a little annoyed sometimes when they lost, and I always thought that was really fun. And I think that's about as much time as I get. Uh, I will miss him so much. He was just an amazing guy all around. He really helped me out a lot, and I'll miss him a lot. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Tara Kim. I graduated from Union College in 2014. I'm in a PhD program at SUNY Albany studying environmental sciences with environmental chemistry concentration. I recently passed doctoral dissertation defense this month and will be graduating in May. I've been working as a HPLC scientist about 3 years now. I was very sad when I heard about this heartbreaking news. Professor Hagerman was my undergraduate thesis co-advisor. He had to provide me a summer research opportunity during my sophomore year. With this experience, I was able to develop a research proposal for my undergraduate thesis project and started becoming passionate about conducting research in the lab. He was very warm-hearted and truly cared about almost every single student in chemistry department. He had helped me think and solve problems critically. I wouldn't have been able to become an independent scientist without his genuine care and guidance. I send my prayers to his family. I hope everyone stays safe and healthy during this pandemic period. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Porter. I graduated from Union in 2004 with a degree in chemistry. Back then, I was Amy Paya, my maiden name. After graduating from Union, I went on to the University of Michigan, where I got my PhD in analytical chemistry, and then went and worked at a small contract analytical lab in Michigan for about 6 years. I now work at IDEX Laboratories, which is in Westbrook, Maine, and it's a veterinary diagnostics company. I work in the R&D division, and I manage the team that does on-market product support. It's really exciting and really different from where I ever imagined myself back in my union days. As I spent some time thinking about what I was going to say today and how I was really going to bring the point home of what an influence Mike had had on my life, I realized that there was no way I could cover everything in under 6 minutes. I was fortunate enough to really get to know Mike and Gail quite well in my time at Union. I actually learned about Mike at my overnight when I was a senior in high school. My host was telling me about this amazing chemistry professor who was friends with his students and that I would probably get to know and love if I actually came to Union. And it turns out that, not only was Mike a big influence in my life as far as academically and professionally, but he really did become a friend. And it's hard to cover it all, right? And I think a lot of you feel the same way, that he was just one of those people who he cared about everyone and he was genuinely interested in how you were doing and what he could do to help. Um, for me personally, he took a chance and took me on as a summer student the summer after my freshman year. And it was a huge influence on my life professionally. Because of that time with him, I realized that I could go to graduate school and that it was something I really wanted to do. Before that, I had no idea that that was even an option. I still tell junior level scientists in my team anecdotes about my time working with him when I'm trying to drive a point home about something that he taught me. I realized how well trained I was going into graduate school, even compared to some of my peers, because of the time that I spent with Mike. But on top of that, Mike and Gail, they gave me a home while I was at Union. I think back to my time there, and I think of all of the wonderful moments that were not just in the lab or in the chemistry building or at all the conferences we went to. Um, you know, Mike's the one who told me about September 11th. I was in class and lab all morning. He and I were scheduled to work on my poster for the Lottie Symposium. I I walked up to his office and he had to share the news with me. Um, he he allowed me to stay at his house. After I graduated from Union, I stayed with him and Gail for several weeks and helped them take care of Sarah. I was there when they got married. He was so much more than just the professor I worked for 2 summers. And I think all of you feel, the same way. There's just no way to put it all into words. I was able to dig up a few photos from the spring of my senior year that I would like to share with everyone quickly. So I have a picture here from Mike and Gail's wedding day with that's little Sarah, that little bundle of joy right there. The day I graduated from Union with Mike, and there's also Dr. Adrian and Dr. Werner in there. And Mike and Gail threw me an amazing going away party when I left Union. And so that's a photo of Kelbeck, Mike, and I at that party as well. And I mean, these are just a fraction of the moments that we shared, and I honestly don't know how to put it into under 6 minutes. Mike was a remarkable man, and I am blessed and honored to have met him and to have spent as much time with him as I did, and to have him influence me in multiple ways. I'm really going to miss him. I'm going to miss going back to Union and spending time with him. Every time I was in the area, I, would go and see him and Gail and the kids. And even when I moved from Michigan to Maine, that was a stop on our trip across the way, was to go and have lunch with them. Yeah, I'm really going to miss him.
Hi, my name is Marita Erindale, and I'm from the class of '05. I met Mike Hagerman as a freshman in one of his intro to chemistry classes, and then I took several of his other classes. In addition, one of those was the introduction to semiconductors and nanosciences. From there, Mike and I developed a great relationship where I worked in his undergraduate research studies lab for 2 summers and met 2 wonderful friends, Evan and Jen. We went on to have lots of fun together as a group, presenting at American Chemical Society meetings in San Francisco and San Diego. We had some pretty epic adventures, including a still spoke about trip to the San Diego Zoo. This is the research lab group that I was talking about with Jen and Evan. We had lots of fun times during the summer. Mike was a wonderful mentor, a great teacher, and just an all-around fun guy. We had lots of hangouts at his house and barbecues and picnics, and we got to know Gail and his family and were overjoyed as we become a dad. During the writing of my thesis my senior year, Mike and I spent hours and hours and hours redoing it, since at the very last minute my computer decided to eat my homework, as they would have said back in the past about a dog. It was a nightmare, and Mike was an absolute angel. I spent hours at his house, and in order to keep Sarah from being too upset, we used to feed her potato chips even though Gail asked us not to. Gail, I'm not sure if that's a secret you've ever heard or not, so I'm so sorry, but it helped get our thesis written. Like I said, Mike was an amazing and wonderful teacher. He was funny and kind and helpful and always had an ear to listen to whatever you needed. He helped many of us through personal things our senior years as well, and I knew that I could always count on him to be a wonderful person that we could go to for anything that we needed. My senior year, I panicked and decided I didn't want to go to medical school, and so he called a friend at SUNY Albany and got me into graduate school with Mike Carpenter, a friend of his who had done many collaborations. Because of that, I got my master's in nanoscale science and engineering, and it's led me to the career that I'm at today. I've worked for a number of amazing companies in the semiconductor industry, and none of that would have been kicked off if it wasn't for Mike. Currently, I'm an account manager for Applied Materials. We manufacture semiconductor equipment, and I live locally here where I support Global Foundries, who's my account. Mike continued to help me through the rest of my career. We were on the American Chemical Society local Eastern New York section where he encouraged me to really participate, and I've enjoyed every fall working on chemistry outreach events for children. In addition to that, he's also helped me with lots of outreach outside of the American Chemical Society. And most recently, this spring, he gave me all of the quantum dots in his lab so that I could help do an outreach event for a girls' science program. He is a wonderful person that we're going to miss immensely, but I'm so happy that I get to carry on all of the things that he's taught me, and I'll continue to try to also inspire other students as well.
Hello, this is Thomas Moran, class of 2016, and I would just like to say a few words in memory of Mike Hagerman and about the influence that he had on me. So I had the privilege of joining Mike's research group in my sophomore year, and I worked with him for the following 3 years and was really inspired by the passion that he had for his work. So much so that I even continued on to do research following graduating from Union, joining a PhD program in material science engineering at the University of Connecticut. I actually just received my doctorate, defended my thesis at the start of February. And after doing so, it's, really makes me think about the influence that Mike's had on my work, on inspiring me to go into the field of nanoscience, and makes me wish that more than anything that I could call him up and tell him the news and let him know how much I appreciate everything he did for me. I'll remember about Mike the tennis matches we'd play against each other and the pickup soccer games that he'd organize with the students over the summer. And I'd like to offer my condolences to his family. He was an amazing person who inspired so many, and he'll be missed. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Desiree Plata. I'm a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Michael Hagerman was my teacher and my friend. I am so devastated at the loss of Mike, not just for myself, but for what this means for the recruitment of other young chemists who need inspiration and need to feel welcome in their chemistry communities. One of the most important things that Mike did for me was to make a space for nerdy students like myself, people who loved science and discovery, but were really anxious to have fun as part of that discovery process. I never had Mike as a teacher in class, actually, but he was there throughout most of my memorable research experiences, whether it was sitting on the couch in his lab, wondering why there was a couch in the lab, or being the faculty mentor for my summer research experiences at Union, which I had, I think, 3, or taking me to my first American Chemical Society meeting and making sure that I could navigate around San Diego safely, or even just having us over to his apartment, or eventually when he started dating Gail and got a home, having us over for dinner and parties, and really just making a very inclusive chemistry space and environment for me and students like me. And I can't thank him enough. I remember getting to graduate school and saying to myself, something is missing. And it was that element of fun and excitement that Mike brought to the lab space and to discovery. And I am sad that future students are going to miss out on that. But I'm thankful for the experience that I had. And I want to underscore to Gail and to James and to Sarah what a special gift your father was to everyone. And thank you for sharing him with us. I like to think that a professor's best and biggest contributions are the ones made by his or her students. And I know Mike really understood that the people that he was helping to grow, in addition to the discoveries that he was making, were really going to go on to change the world that we live in for the better, and change our moments for the better as well. And I just, again, want to thank you for sharing your dad, your partner, with us, the students and the union students who came before and after me. We are so privileged to have known Mike, to learn from him, and to understand what it is to be a good mentor through his example. Thank you. And I'm so sorry for everyone's loss. We'll try to honor his memory by living up to his great example.
Hi, my name is Mason King, and I'm a former member of the Hager League. And today I'm so thankful to be present for and sharing this remembrance of Mike Hagerman. I first met Mike about 7 years ago as a first-year student in introductory chemistry. I didn't commit to studying chemistry at Union until about the end of my second year, but I thank Mike for helping to make some of my earliest experiences in the department enjoyable and for making the whole field of chemistry seemingly approachable. Over the course of 4 years, I was fortunate to have learned from Mike by participating in nearly every class that he taught. And of course, I was fortunate to have his mentorship throughout the length of my senior thesis research project. Our project was a continuation of research by a former student to synthesize cerium oxide nanocomposite particles and to study the relationship between particle morphology or shape on absorption of arsenic and chromium metals. Aside from the inorganic chemistry and analytical techniques that I learned under Mike's guidance, I'm so thankful to carry with me today the lessons that unbound curiosity and quality writing skills can carry you far. I think anyone that's ever taken a chemistry class with Mike has at some point sat through a full-length lesson on English grammar. I remember that one of my proudest moments as a student at Union was hearing Mike's final feedback on my written thesis, saying that he was so impressed with the way my writing had improved. He was the type of teacher that made Union an incredible place to learn, putting the growth of his students above all else. He believed in me even when I didn't believe that I had the talent or intelligence that the rigors of my chosen field required. Anyone who knew Mike felt touched by his abilities to encourage and motivate. I'm so thankful to have had his support throughout my time at Union and in all of my endeavors post-graduation. Literally today, on May 15, 2021, I'm a graduate of the University of California, Berkeley, with a master's degree in environmental engineering and science. In a short time, I'll be starting a job as a water resources engineer in Santa Barbara, California, a place that Mike and I often talked happily about. In so many ways, I owe these and many more successes to my mentor and to my friend, Mike Hagerman. And so one more time, but certainly not the last, I'd like to say thank you. Miss you, Hagers.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yan Zhang. I work at the Professor Hagerman's lab from 2014 to 2016, developing material of graphene oxide and polyaniline. I was doing mainly of the characterization portion using the instruments of SEM, AFM, prop station, TGA, and so on. Later on, I graduated from 2016 and came to the UPenn studying engineering, and I'm currently working at Wharton Research Data Services under the Wharton School of Finance. I do mainly three things in the past 5 years. First is large distributed systems from computer science. Mainly are distributed database, distributed file system, large data pipelines, and machine learning training system and new infrastructure. The second thing I've been working on is the machine learning, from computer vision to natural language processing, time series in finance, and also some of the reinforcement learning. The third thing, third direction, is financial data, because we're the data center and providing data services and still the data products. Personally write an algorithm to create those new product and automate a lot of process to process or even generating new data set for product to sell. I guess I'm one of the few students in Hagerman's lab that didn't take my PhD or not even the chemistry field. It's been years. I was trying to had a chance to explain to him this kind of trajectory or the technology, a lot of automation of the computer science and the finance could have a synergy, creating a even larger impact than the material. I always wish I had the chance to explain that well over the past few years, and sometimes I feel quite guilty. Didn't do that early, and didn't feel like I was feel ready enough, success enough to tell the whole story and telling a new field. I guess Hagerman was a really good mentor when I was at Union. Definitely more than the lab and the academic research side. It's also, especially at the first few years, I was in the United States, so it was tough for me to study and start all those kind of research. I guess I may his soul rest in the peace.